Good evening. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting for Thursday, November 20th at 5:30 PM at the Emmett Shockley Administration Building. Mr. Kroll, can you call roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Present.
Mrs. Paez,
Present.
Mrs. Crumley,
Present.
Mr. Orozco,
Present.
Mr. Kroll present.
Okay, on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of Mexico, and the symbol friendship among the United States. All right, any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Mr. President.
I'll entertain a motion.
That we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
Okay, on to reports. Amy A. Deming.
Good evening, Richard Levelman, President of Ellisville, and board members. Just a quick update on a few of the things that are sorry, going on with our local union. We began bargaining in October for the 2006 school year, which is started off really great. We will be sending a few representatives to the lobby day, legislation lobby day in January. And then as a local members and our local would like to thank the school board members who have been making recent visitations to our school sites to see all the great and exciting things that we have going on at our school. Any questions about this?
No, thank you for the invitations. We appreciate that.
And thank you for the great partnership, Ms. Berger, from you as the president and your membership. It's been a great year.
Thank you. On to superintendent reports and updates.
President Roscoe, members of the board, as I like to say at the start of each report, great to be a Wildcat. It's great to be here in Deming, New Mexico, and it's great to see folks joining us here as well. So we'll start with our updates here. Our recognition this month is a recognition of some accomplishments at Deming Intermediate School. So I'm going to invite Principal Sandoval and her team up to share this great event that took place.
You guys are welcome to come in. We got some chairs up here. If not, we can pull some more chairs out. Come on in.
Go ahead, Ms. Sandoval, or however you want to start. Okay, yeah.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, superintendent. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Lorena Sandoval. I'm the student council advisor at Deming Intermediate, along with Ms. Marisa Granillo. And we are here to introduce a few of our student council members that did attend fall conference in Las Cruces and came out victorious with the Southwest Spirit Stick.
Awesome.
And so we will allow them to talk about their experience and how they won the Spirit Stick.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Maya Chávez and I'm the Vice President of Student Council.
Hi, my name is Luke Kroll and I am a student council member. Hello, my name is Abraham Rodriguez and I am the president of student council.
Hi, I'm Sophia Perez and I'm a student council member. Hi, I'm McKenna Clarkson and I'm the historian. Hi, I'm Janice Suarez and I'm a student council member.
Hello, I'm Antonio and I'm the secretary.
We're going to talk about our fall conference experience and how we got to listen to our guest speakers, the workshops we did, and how we got to interact with the other schools and how we came out victorious.
What we did for our workshops are sunshines and we got to meet a lot of new people and we explained how to make sunshines for our workshop. How we won our Spirit Stick is our school is the most decorated and spirited school in the Southwest District.
We went against 13 other contestants and we got first place. We won. We now get to go to the state.
Oh.
We are going to be selling chocolates and it would be greatly appreciated if you guys could buy me.
We'll be selling on December 1st, so. You just.
Give us some money.
So with them, like I just mentioned, they will be representing Deming Intermediate at state conference in February from I believe it's the 12th through the 14th. And so they're fundraising for us to be able to go to state. So they get to keep the Southwest Spirit Stick for a whole year until we go back to fall conference, and they can either keep it or another school can take it. But I think, we'll keep it in Deming.
So that's good. Thank you. Well, thank you. Can you join us up in the, would like to take a picture with the board? Do we have these on? Yes. And I think we're on the verge of having a state champion here, so looking forward to hearing more.
Alright, you guys turn around.
Yes, we're gonna go this. We're gonna go this way. Very good. We're gonna go this way. I think President Roscoe has something for you. I think Mr. Roscoe has something. Oh, Mr. Crumley does too. Crumley has.
Then more together.
She has all of them. Let's kiddos, how about, we gotta step in the front here.
Let's get some of the tall.
Yeah, let's get some, there we go. I'll stand in the back here, right? There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna scroll and I'll be in the back. Okay, there you go.
Now you can right
A
here.
little bit forward, a
Split
little bit
because you're
forward, a
blocking
little bit
each other.
forward. Thank you, sir. Perfect. Here we go. Now we got it. Now we got it.
All right, Mary Lou in front, there you go.
Sponsors.
Yes.
Yeah, who the sponsors? Yes, come on now. Hello.
Good
try.
Need you guys out.
Try. All the work.
Oh, yeah. There you go. All right, let's see here. You guys smile. Bobby, I need you to move in just a little. There we go. All right, big smiles, guys. Good job. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you.
Okay. Happy go. Happy go. Hold on. Come back. Come back. We got something for you here, okay? Some stuff for you. There you go. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job.
Did you get everybody? Yes.
Sponsors.
Sponsor?
Sponsors.
Got one.
Oh, okay. Is 2 enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, thank you again. Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
job. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
super awesome. Our next update is gonna come, as a district safety department update and SRO activity update and the use of the new, newly implemented SRO app. We're gonna invite Mr. Hasso up to share with us information.
Good evening, President, Board, Superintendent, and I also brought SRO Casala with me tonight. So we have recently purchased a new app. We had purchased it was called the SRO app. And what that was helping us do is track, and that's exactly what you have up on the screen right now. The SRO app basically allows our SROs to go in and they can log in the activity that they've participated in at the different sites and the issues around it. But one of the things that had happened a while back was we had a presentation from Mrs. Kroll on Infinite Campus, and that was able to track a lot more detail on the issues and stuff that are happening with some of our students. And so what they're experiencing, for example, SRO Quesada is at DIS. And then you have our SRO from the SO from the Sheriff's Department at Intermediate, which is Mrs. Valdez. And then Angel Villa over at the high school. So what happens a lot of times is we don't have that information getting transferred over on the students that, I don't know how else to put it, but are problem childs, the ones that continue every year to have issue after issue. And so with Infinite Campus, they're able to see it because they're logging in every time something's happening, but they don't have access to it. It's one of the things that they had asked for over and over. Can we get access to Infinite Campus? But because of FERPA and all the other issues around that, there's too much sensitive information they didn't want them to be privy to. So with this new one, the Student Defender, now they can go in and they can log specifically, and it does tie into Infinite Campus as far as getting the information from the student. So we know who the student are, we know who the contacts are for that student, but each time that they go in and have an issue with them, now they can document it. And it's gonna follow the student through their years in Deming Public Schools. So that gives them the opportunity, when he turns it over, when Quesada turns it over to Brittany, then she's gonna be able to go back and see all the history on this. Can't alter any of his reports, but she can see the history on it, and then she can go in and document the situations that are happening with that student also at the next level, you know, 7th and 8th, and then it goes on to Officer Villa and the same thing. They can go in, they can't alter any of the information coming in from them, but they can actually see what's happening. So, and it's a work in progress for the company. They're trying to adapt it to everybody's needs. And I'm gonna let Officer Quesada talk about it because he's been the one speaking with the individual, and I can't think of his name right now, that's helping us put that app together so that it actually works better for us.
Yeah, so like, Dr. also was saying that Student Defender is fairly new, the program. They just brought it up to speed a couple months ago because they're running into the same issue, other SROs where they weren't transferring this information to other SROs. And so they came up with that new program. And so that new program does have the students' names, their birthdays, and then the contact information, so we can contact their parent. We don't have like their grades and all that stuff on that program. We are able to upload like their if they have like a behavior plan, things like that, so you can upload those onto that individual student. So it's pretty cool because we're able to see that stuff if we need it. But Ethan has been working a lot with us and as to fixing all the bugs, because it does have a little bit of bugs right now. But it is it's helpful a lot. This program that we've been using for the past years, it works. It does help us. It's just the data just gets lost. Like it doesn't get transferred over to Deputy Valdez, and then from Valdez it doesn't go to Villa unless we put the kid's name. If we put the kid's name, then we're able to search that on this data. But if you don't put it, then you practically lose it. So but we're trying. It's a lot. You guys can tell we're busy. And so we're trying to keep up with all the data. It's a lot of calls, a lot of entering information. And so I do know we run into that issue as to we fall behind a little bit. But we're trying to keep up as best as we can with that. So.
And then one other thing that I wanted to address, because I know this was brought to your attention, there's a delay in some of the reporting that goes to JPO's office. We met right after we received that information with all three of the SROs because we wanted to get an update on it also. So basically, I don't know how else to put this, they're using so when a student offends and has an issue, they have 30 days, right? By state statute to report it, to decide whether they're gonna go ahead and file charges on the student. So what the SROs have been telling me is what we're doing is we're kind of using that to strong arm them to stay in school, you know, fly right, stop getting in trouble. And if they do, and they go past that 30 days, and they keep working with them, they don't file the charges on them. So that's the delay that you're seeing or that JPO's office has been seeing. And they actually, that day that we met with them, were giving me examples of some of the students that they currently have under watch because if the student, again, if they continue, they gotta keep their grades up, gotta fly right again, not get in trouble, and not continue the same behavior they've had, they will go ahead and not file the charges on them. And so that's one of the things that they've been doing rather than file charges right off the bat, you know, and make the kid even madder and more rebellious. They're trying to work with them and again, if you need to elaborate on that, please do, but I know that was one of the issues brought to us that you guys wanted us to address with the SROs and so they're kind of using it to hold their feet to the fire and make them fly right.
Yes, yeah, that also was saying, that's actually what we do, we give them that opportunity, you know, unless they've already are frequent fires and they've been already in trouble for example, THC 3-4 times, then at that point, we're just gonna turn it in. But if it's a first offense for this kid and he knows he made a mistake or she made a mistake, then we use it and we tell him, well, we're gonna keep an eye on your grades and if they're bad or your attendance, things like that. Then we do have them sign the citation, the referral to JPO, so it's already done deal, like it's signed. And so if they mess up, whatever, we just turn it in at that point. So it's not like we're not doing it, it's just we're holding off to turn them in until we see what they're doing.
But just for clarification on that, that's a case by case basis. And then if it's something that's egregious,
Yeah.
felony level stuff, then
It's something
that's
that-
kind of out the window, correct?
Yeah, you turn it in regardless. If we have a, you know, a fight that's very severe, even a fight in general, we usually turn those in. But if it's more of a, you know, THC, for example, because we run into those a lot. A lot of the times it's peer pressure. A lot of times it's, oh, my friend gave it to me, and we look at their grades or their discipline, and they don't have a lot. You know, it's just, you know, petty stuff. But if it's severe cases, then yeah, we usually just turn them in right away.
Any questions by the board, comments?
I have a question, but it's not about this. It's about the Stop It app for kids to self-report. Has that been put into place?
You know, and Andy was working on that, and Andy's been out this week. And I don't know where we're at with that, because actually Red Mountain had a hit a couple of nights ago. But that didn't come from Stop It, because that hasn't been implemented yet. It came from the Sandy Hook, the See Something, Say Something app.
Uh-huh.
And so we received, and I haven't followed up with Bill to see what that was, but it was a tip on distribution, so. They're still coming into the See Something, Say Something. We haven't completely gone away from the app, but no, Stop It has not been implemented yet. I know Andy had been talking to the individual from the state that was gonna work with him to implement it, but I don't know where we're at in that process right now.
I understand it's a free app. It doesn't cost anything to the district. But my history with the Stop It app, it's very useful.
Oh, yeah.
Kids really do self-report and they are anonymous. And so they're more apt to talk about what's going on with their friends and things like that. So I appreciate you.
Yeah. And one of the things that we're looking at is See Something, Say Something. They talk to a counselor and they collect all the information. It's forwarded to us. What I'm understanding with the Stop It app is it's filtered.
Actually, there's administrators so the counselor can be an administrator and they can view it. So it can be the administrator, whoever you put on as administrators. So they do have access and they can get in there and see just like everybody else, like the.
So when Andy gets back, I'll make sure that, I'll find out exactly where he is in the process, but
Uh-huh.
we were trying to implement that and the, oh shoot, what was the other one?
The rave panic button.
Rave panic button.
Yes.
So Andy's been working on both of those. We've made a lot of progress on the rave. I don't know where we are with the Stop It though. Well, yeah, you're right. We need it. Because that was the way that we were receiving a lot of tips.
Yeah.
Not just, on drugs or distribution or that type of stuff, but also threats of violence.
And then just kids, mental behaviors, if they see another student who is showing suicidal ideations or whatever, a lot of times kids will report that because they're concerned about their friend, and nobody knows the other child as well as the friend does. And so I did see a lot of that, where kids help each other.
And
That's
actually, when
important.
we first implemented the See Something, Say Something app, that was most of the tips that we received
Yeah.
was students that were talking about committing suicide.
Yes.
So yeah, it's very useful. So yeah, we definitely need some kind of reporting app, definitely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any comments, questions from the board? Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Now on to your monthly update on enrollment. I'm gonna try to go through this, and if I get this wrong, Ms. Kroll's gonna assist me. So I'm gonna loop back to we have our overall enrollment, and there we go. We have our overall enrollment on that top bar there. That was kind of from October. You can see over the year we've increased a little bit. 7 total students since in September. However, what I wanted to point out today was membership. And so membership is what we report to the state that is tied to funding. Now, again, you'll notice that first line where it says district membership, it's comparing last year to this year. 40th day is in October. And you'll see in that second column where it says 4,695, that's different membership than our enrollment, which was around 4,848. So membership doesn't include all the students in our enrollment. Basically, the big chunks that are excluded are your regular ed 3Y and 4Y pre-K, because that's not a PED thing. There are some special education students that are 3Y and 4Y that are included in our membership, and there are a sliver of other SPED kids that aren't included in membership. But I want to point out membership because that is tied to funding. And so since compared to last year, our membership is down 55 students. Okay. Now, again, they don't use the official number for calculation for next year's funding until the average of the 80th and 120th. So in December will be the 80th day. In February will be the 120th day. Those numbers will be those membership numbers will be averaged together, and that will be the basis of our funding for next school year. Okay. Now, I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but every year the PED sets a unit value, right? And so a kid may have a unit value of 1, but depending on their grade level and program, they might have a value of 1.2, 1.5, depending on their need, could be up to 2.0. So what I want to illustrate with you, at a bare minimum, right? If we were to lose 55 students in membership at just a 1.0 of the unit value, and if the unit value were to stay the same next year, unit value this year is $6,801.35. Joe said, make sure you say the 35 cents, Nick. It's important. If it was just 1 per student, one unit per student, that would be a reduction in our operational budget of approximately $375,000 at the base. Okay, so we always want to keep an eye on our membership as we go through the year, because that drives decisions we have to make in budget. So this is the reason why I want to make sure every month you all are informed of where we are with enrollment, because there will be an impact, and we'll have good numbers. We have great data collection here in Deming to make our decisions about staffing and all those things going into next year. So I wanted to show that membership situation for pre-K 12. Yes, ma'am.
Say the number again.
The membership number, miss, or the unit value number, or the amount, total amount. The total amount, if this was to be the case, would be about $375,000 difference. If there was a drop in 55 members at minimum. But we do have the next slide, Mr. Turner, please. This next slide is kinder. Remember, I tell you that we want to keep a close eye on our kinder numbers throughout the district. So again, our change from September to October with our kinder enrollment was down 3. However, if you look at our membership in kinder, it's a little positive sign there, right? Last year, our kinder membership was 343. Kinder membership is up 361. So we'll take the plus 18 of kinders. Whenever you're trying to think about long-term projections, how many kids are leaving your district, how many kids are coming in. So we'll just continue to keep an eye on that and keep you all informed regarding our enrollment trends going forward. Any clarifying questions on enrollment or any additional information that we can find for you? Next slide, Mr. Turner. Again, here's the monthly HR update. We'll have our tabs on the bottom. If we kind of see by school there, and Charles, if you'll scroll to the bottom of our vacancies, so we can see on the right. So we have 21 positions open total. I think column J is which ones, I think K is our teacher vacancies, so column K is teachers. Of those 21, 14 are teachers, and then 7 of those are sped related. If you go back to October really quick, Charles, so we can see on the bottom. Again, the same situation here, right? We were at 14 teacher vacancies, and 7 were sped. Okay, so I know HR is doing a great job trying to reach out there and get those filled, and they'll sort of come and go. But again, all things considered, a pretty decent job in trying to keep up with that. Any clarifying questions or additional information you'd like about HR information?
Any additional from the board?
Okay, thank you. And then I want to start including for you all every month a little superintendent activity update. In addition, for the community to be aware as well. So I think number one, I wrote some other things down here, but I think the most significant thing I want to share is thank you to our community for another successful bond election. That's definitely a this community continues to invest, with our capital money, whether it be the bond or a 2 mil levy. Great capital investments, right? We look at the beautiful schools that we've built in this community, and having this money allows us to maintain them, right? And then go forward making decisions what we need to remodel or redo. And so we're going to continue to spend that money wisely. And as we have additional projects finished, we'll try to share that. And if we have additional needs, we'll share that with you as well. Some quick updates of some things I've been doing. I'm going to share, right? I'm only used to 1 turkey day in my previous job for many years. I got to enjoy 3 turkey days here in Deming, so I like that. 3 Thursdays of turkey, and I got to go visit lots of campuses, and it was great to see all the parents. It was great to see all the kids. I want to really thank the student nutrition staff. It is a Herculean task to do that, and thanks Miss Jones for her leadership on that, because it's a great time and everything's delicious. So thank you for that. I got to attend the National Technical Honor Society induction last night at DHS. Always get to attend a Rotary meeting with some of our community leaders and see our early college and DHS kids present. I've made several PAC meetings over the last month, and hearing from that perspective from parents has been great. Couple of other reminders, right? If you ever see on Facebook, Soda with the Superintendent, that is just, I kind of announce those when I'm available. So if you're a community member and if you have any questions, just feel free to pop in. As a parent, I'm willing to have any kind of conversation about the school district you'd like to have, right? It's not really a meeting per se where I'm presenting stuff. It's really an opportunity for me to listen. And then, of course, a more traditional meeting that we have is the Connect with the Superintendent. We'll have our next one of those in December, and we'll publish that announcement as well. And before I wrap up, I also want to let you know I've been conducting principal evaluations. The last month, I've been getting to visit classrooms, been leaving a little feedback form to the teachers, and there's a little QR code there that they can scan if they choose to respond. They can tell me as a superintendent on that QR code what's one way DPS has supported you as an employee or a teacher, and what is one way that we could support you better. So as I visit classrooms, I'm trying to leave those as well. And then my sort of last activity is more of an announcement. I want to welcome our Assistant Director of Transportation, Oscar Sosa, who I think a lot of people in town know. It's been around for a while. Retired former New Mexico State policeman, brings great experience in the commercial motor vehicle division to our department. And so I want to welcome Oscar. And if you hadn't seen Oscar. And then lastly, I want to thank AJ from technology. I know we had a tech issue with our screens last time. AJ swooped in and got that fixed for us. But Mr. President, that concludes my reports.
All right. Public comment, there was none, correct, Mr. Attorney? Right. Good. On to consent agenda. I have no questions. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed on our, as listed.
I'll second.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
All right, on to discussion items. District Warehouse Project, Mr. Duarte.
While Mr. Duarte's coming up to share information on his memo, I just want to give a little context to the board. What Mr. Duarte is going to be speaking about was actually a warehouse building addition that was approved by the board in October of 2022. Okay, that project, has long since been completed. The total cost of that warehouse building addition was $122,000 then. However, Mr. Duarte is going to share in the memo just some needs that we have to I'm going to say bring it up to code. I'll let Mr. Duarte talk about that. And the cost of these design services is going to be $27,000. That is something I can approve as a superintendent myself. However, because it was a project you all approved in the past, we want to make sure you were aware that we were going to be making these upgrades and why. So, Mr. Duarte, if you want to share a little bit from your from the memo that you wrote, and I think Charles is going to bring that up for us.
President Orozco, members of the board, Superintendent Waldemut. So this warehouse has it's been taking a while to get put up. It finally got completed. I think with all the upper directors and leadership retiring and moving on, I think it kind of got just forgotten a little bit. So I moved in as the new director. I need this warehouse. Started moving some stuff around. Had an inspection from a state fire marshal who asked me for certain things, and one of them being like an electrical permit, some renovations inside the building. There's none. So here we stand, and I need this building. We need to bring it up to date. Here to let you guys know the information. You guys, any questions for me?
Any idea how we got to this point? I know that there's been some people leaving and things like that, but typically most of the stuff's not paid out until the project's done. So
Well, the actual warehouse is completed.
It's just all it was. It's just warehouse. That's yeah.
This is where we stand now.
I think the little clarity I can provide, and I think it's a good lesson going forward. I think as facilities and construction and very likely up front, we are always better in front consulting with architecture and full design professionals to make sure we check all the boxes. It seems like maybe not all the appropriate boxes need to be that were checked on the front end were checked off. And so we want to make sure we have AKS Miles. We use Miles a lot here in town, and so he can come give us a full summary of what we need to be in compliance. And then what I've talked with the construction team and the maintenance team as we go forward with any kind of project that's going to be a building, right? We need to invest, in the professional services to make sure we're in the right direction in the first place. And so I think that's kind of what
I think it's just something with all the movement happening that kind of just got left unsaid or unspoken. And I'm just here to pick up on that and complete this thing.
But you got pictures of the foundation and everything else, right? So we don't.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do have permits from all that, the actual construction of the building, all that is, squared away. I just need these other items to continue.
any other questions, comments by the board? Okay, so this is just a discussion item.
Yes, sir. No action required.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. On to item B, discussion item, the Alice training presentation. Lieutenant Robert Chavez from the police department. Police department's here. This Charles is having some technical difficulties. I'll let Lieutenant Chavez explain this further, but the Alice training is another form of training that's utilized, starting to grow nationwide. And it's another form of training that's utilized during mass incidences, I guess, is how to put it. I'm sure you can probably explain it better. Lieutenant Chavez is certified in this. There's very few instructors throughout the country. We're fortunate enough to have an instructor here within our community. So I invited him to explain this Alice training and what it can bring to the district, and then I'll leave it open for discussion for the board.
First off, good afternoon. Busy. Sorry, I was late earlier. I was teaching Xavier, so. Had to take another guy, so. So just go further with this. Alice, I've been teaching active shooter to law enforcement, including New Mexico State Police, New Mexico Border Patrol, BORTAC, which is Border Patrol SWAT team, local sheriff's office, so Deming, Homeland Security, and some of our jail staff as well. So I've been doing that since 2010. Alice, which is on the civilian side, for teachers. Also have a contract right now with New Mexico DOT as well. I've taught over 20 classes for New Mexico DOT. And I said, I talked with Mr. Orozco before in the past about this stuff. Our officers are ready to respond. There's an active shooter in your schools. Okay, I used to be an SRO years ago until I got promoted. I know the need. It's very important because I have kids in the school district as well. Working in the school district in the past, I felt that teachers were not ready for an incident like this. Another thing about Deming is this has happened before in our community. So it's not a matter of if it happened, it's when it happens. Okay. And that's what I asked Mr. Orozco if I can come in and talk a little bit about this and to inform the community and the school staff as well. It's very important to have this training. Albuquerque Public Schools, which is the largest school district in the state, adopted Alice, this training here. And ever since they adopted it, not one single shot has been fired on the campus. You still have kids taking guns to school, I get that. Okay, but not one single shot has been fired because of this training that's implemented in the DPS.
What does Alice do? So what's the mindset behind it, or what does the training entail?
So the training, it's I can do it in 4 hours. I do put everybody through scenarios. So it's a 45-minute PowerPoint presentation. As far as like everybody heard way back in the day, run, hide, fight type of deal. So this is Alice is an acronym. So it starts for alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. So this is going out to everything. This we even show you guys how to lock down your classrooms properly. We show you how to fight back when it's necessary to fight back, when all means are out the door and you have a shooter right outside your door or in your classroom. I got to meet a lot of parents whose kids were killed in school shootings throughout the state or throughout the US. Kind of hard to hear their stories when SROs, officers, and school staff failed to act. Okay, and I got to meet Frank DeAngelis, who's the principal at Columbine when the school shooting happened there in Columbine. So I got to hear him talk and his reasons for staying so as long as he did. It was pretty amazing stories. But I feel if we implement this in our school district, it's gonna help our students and staff feel safe. As a lieutenant with the Deming Police Department for the past 4 years, I responded to several incidences at our schools where our school staff isn't notifying the proper people. And include bomb threats, shooting threats, kids on campus with weapons. Again, as a parent, I feel like I need to be aware what's going on. I'm not here to bad talk anybody, but just my past experiences. Again, I spoke to Mr. Roscoe about this a few times, and like I said, I feel like our school district is not ready when this happens. I was working the day where the water issue happened and it was mass chaos. That was a water issue. Just imagine an active shooter in your school. So that's why I'm here today to see if I'm able to go into the school districts and train your guys' staff on how to respond when this incident happens again.
Officer Chavez, I want to share a couple of things being new to the community. One, I can appreciate the focus and the investments that have already been made in security here. I've seen things here that I haven't seen in my experience elsewhere. I think it's positive. Some of these things we've been talking about, the rave panic button, all those other things. I really believe that the Alice protocol and training for an active shooter fits in very well with that. So what I'll do is I'll reach out to you know, everybody knows Benny. We'll reach out with Benny, Andy, the three of us can sit down and really talk about, hey, in our, you know, we're going to invest in some weapons detection, right? So all these things to mitigate and respond. I think the district has taken great steps in that, and I think Alice, the Alice protocol would be an excellent portion of that. So I'm excited to look forward to working with you on that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Questions, comments by the board? No. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to legislative updates.
President Roscoe, members of the board, just want to always keep you up to date on what's going on in the pre-session and legislative topics. Last time we shared with you, I did a little bit of the School Superintendent Association's priorities. Mr. Turner and I are going to share a little bit with you on what the School Board Association is putting out to be voted on at the conference here in a couple of weeks. So there's about 13 or 14, Charles, different proposals. We're going to glance at those really quick, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about what the Legislative Education Study Committee's looking at. That way, those of you that are able to join us in Santa Fe, again, are getting a good picture of what some of those big themes regarding education are going to be in the legislature this year. So, Charles, I'll let you sort of summarize and point out a couple of things on the NMSBA resolutions that will be voted on. Not all of these will go through, but the conference here in a couple of weeks, the delegates will vote on those. So, Charles, I'll let you take it from there.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Wogomuth, these resolutions are collected by the NMSBA from districts across the state. And what they are is districts telling NMSBA, these are some issues, these are some topics that we would like to see support and or action on through the legislature. And then the NMSBA collects them all. They send out, which you guys are already received from Mr. Joe Guillen, the packet that says NMSBA is asking for the executive committee to support or not support these resolutions. I did summarize them in this brief for you. One that I did want to bring attention to is a topic that gets brought up here often is repeat offenders or students that are violent. So resolution number 3 is from Hobbs, and it's asking for stronger penalties for juvenile violence. NMSBA did say that they did not want to support this. However, as board members and a district that is a member of NMSBA, you can contact members of the executive committee and you can voice your opinion on which way the vote should go. Other than that, there are 13 of them. The executive committee will meet on December 4th. I believe it starts at noon in Albuquerque at the Embassy Suites. So that is, pretty much your deadline for contacting those members. Other than that, I do stand for questions, and in your packet, I did have a link to the full resolutions if you wanted to read them in the entirety, or the shortcut version that I gave.
And again, as Charles was saying, right, this is for you to digest. Charles pointed out kind of a significant one there. So if you have any feedback, either right now or right between now and December 4th, you give that feedback to your contact on the executive committee. If you don't know who that is, we can, Charles can use you that list and contact them. But nothing here in general as a superintendent that I've reviewed seems unreasonable. However, 13 different things carried through the legislature is not going to occur in a 30-day session. So we just want to make sure you were aware of that. Any clarifying questions on that or actions you need from Charles and I relative to supporting you on these?
Mr. W, I'm shooting from the hip here, guys. I'm sorry. So resolution 9, Mr. W pointed out to our administrators earlier this week that there is talk about proposing and through legislation an 80-20 coverage for our insurance. You all voted to give our employees that already, but some of that filler there is from our operations. So should resolution 9 get pushed through and signed by the governor, that would free up operational costs that would then add resources for instruction and other things throughout the district.
And I think that's a great segue, Charles. I think you do this on purpose. You scroll down to the LESC proposals. So each year, right, you get legislative proposals from the executive branch, that's the NMPED. You get proposals from the legislators themselves, right? This is the Legislative Education Study Committee. You can really start seeing what the priorities are for the session. Okay. And so just a couple of things here. One, I think it's important to point out, we sort of talked about from the Superintendent Association, there was all that kind of stuff about superintendent tenure. The current law is, there are regulations board members have to follow. Typically, if there is misconduct or violation of law by a school board, the Secretary of Education can only remove the whole board, right? Even if it may be an issue or misconduct by one board. What board member, what this proposal from the LAC is kind of saying, hey, to modify the law to allow throughout the state, if there are individual board members who are really in violation of statute and law, right? Instead of being a consequence for the whole board, right? That the Secretary of Ed can remove one board member, right? So, that's a proposal going through. So it's Charles' segue that he was saying there, right? Increasing to the 80-20 split. We're already doing that here in Deming. That's been a hot topic. Making sure that the Attendance for Success Act is modified to not penalize kids with severe medical conditions. There are teacher residency and teacher prep programs that they've been piloting here. We recognize having qualified teachers in our classrooms that are well prepared is a priority. The Legislative Education Study Committee is saying the same thing. The comprehensive approach to math instruction. We've already had a conversation last week about literacy and math. We can see that a comprehensive approach to math instruction statewide is also a priority. Again, this one here talks about how you respond to student behavior relative to restraint and seclusion and timeouts. They're really talking here about making sure if those things have to be used, that they are super well supervised, right? That it needs to be in the line of sight of somebody else and they're reported. I think we have one or two more here, Charles. And then, of course, literacy, right? Making sure we expand structured literacy. And then the Office of Special Education, this is a little bit of an important one. Right now, the Office of the Special Education lies within the creation of the governor. So the governor can create this Office of Special Ed and then sort of uncreate it if it's a new governor. And so what they want to do is codify the Office of Special Education as a permanent portion of the public education department. I guess you would suppose that the public education department already has a full Office of Special Education. It's more of a smaller department. This would codify a good structure in law under the PED. So just want to keep you all aware of, as we get to legislative session, these are the things that are coming up. And as we get up to the session, we'll try to get all these things together for you, kind of in some high level summaries to know what's going on. So again, you may not have questions now, but if you have any questions about those things, please let Charles and I know. Okay.
Questions, comments by the board? Okay.
All right.
On to 2024-2025 New Mexico Vistas School Accountability District Report Card.
I'm going to share on this, and I may have to call on Mr. Wyman to make sure I stay straight. And I do appreciate Learning Services and Mr. Wyman constructing this. But we wanted to give you a very high-level overview today of basically what's known as the school report card or the district report card. At the end of this, you can either let us know now or share with us later additional information you may want, and then we can decide if we need to have an additional workshop to go more in depth on some of these topics, or if there are specific topics you want more in-depth information. Mr. Wyman and all of us can bring those to you in the next meeting, right? So you guide us on what you want. We want to give you high-level information at this time. So again, New Mexico Vistas is our accountability, public-facing accountability report here in New Mexico. You think of it as that school report card. It includes more than just test scores. It's also required by the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is the federal law. So we're required to make this public-facing and to differentiate the schools and in a way that shows how we can support them. Next slide, please. here's, the way schools are evaluated. So it's academic achievement, so that's proficiency. You've seen those, right? Academic growth. Keep going, Charles. English learner progress, school quality and student success. That's really attendance and science proficiency and college and career readiness. And then, of course, our high school graduation rates. This is how they evaluate. It's all evaluated on a 100-point scale. DIS is only evaluated on 90 points because they don't have science there, right? You'll see on this next slide that the points are different based on whether you're middle school, secondary school, or an elementary school. We try to evaluate kids that are there for a full year enrollment, but that varies, right? Different weights are done based on how long a student is there. And of course, right, you want to make sure you test 95% of your kids. If not, you get a little ding on your report. But Mr. Wyman and his team do a great job in making sure that everybody is included. For your information, these are how the points are distributed. Again, we don't have any K2 standalone schools, so that middle one is elementary, middle school. The right hand is high school. I think the biggest thing I want to point out here is that our elementary and middle schools, because they don't have graduation rates, because they don't have college and career readiness points, their points are tied more to the academic achievement and the growth, right? So you see there that those first four or five columns for elementary are much more heavily weighted than the high schools, and this is true statewide. The other high school points are down there at the bottom in the graduation rate and the graduation growth, as well as college and career readiness. Go on, Charles. So I think a couple of things to know, right? These are the designations that schools get, and we'll kind of see Deming's results here in a moment. I think it's important to understand that the PED has a data cycle. So this is not a data this year with a cycle that's going to move schools statewide, not just here in Deming, but statewide into some of the designations, as Mr. Wyman's put, ATSI, CSI, or MRI, which I won't go into depth here, but we can go in depth further if you'd like to know that in a workshop or another meeting. But our data from this year, right? 25, 26, our current school year data, they'll get reported out next year. We have to look at that for our ATSI, CSI, and MRI designations. Okay, so just because a school's not in designation this year, doesn't mean it might not be next year, because it's not a reporting year, a designation year for some of the data. But there's your designations, and here is kind of the point totals for Deming the last couple of years and their designation. As you can see, none of the designations have changed because it's not really a major designation year. There would have been a significant problem here. You might have had some of these fall into TSI, targeted intervention on a specific subgroup, but everything was good there, so that didn't pop up. But you can see in some of our schools there was some change in points, and we always want to keep an eye on our schools that have those lower point totals to make sure that as a school they don't fall into like overall what is CSI designation, and we want to watch those subgroups to make sure they don't fall into TSI or ATSI designations next year. Andrew, how did I do?
You did great.
I got good. Okay, I want to make sure I got all that. Now, a question to you all, and again, give us some feedback now. If you need to sit on it and get back to me, I'll get with Ms. Reinhardt and Mr. Wyman. Off the top right now, is there anything that you'd like more information on that we can start working on in a presentation that kind of struck from that brief overview there? I'd like to know more about.
Any comments by the board?
One thing that, I'm sorry, go ahead. One thing is, it's very hard to really say what's happening with our schools when we have put it all together and send it out all together.
Sure.
And on the other hand, we send it out divided, and unless we really are careful on how we explain this, it can really be negative on us that we're not doing our part. So I think some kind of procedure we need
Okay.
to start and say we're gonna do this over 5 years or something.
Okay.
To see what are we each year needing to do rather than trying to do it. Next year, we're gonna get it all done.
Sure.
And we know that's gonna be difficult. Oh, I think it would if, while I was in school, it was that teaching it was. So that's just one of the things that we need to be, really think about how we're going to do this and how we're gonna present it to the public. Just for them, because our public needs to be, I'll be one of those publics next year, so.
Thank you, Ms. Cameron, for that feedback. We'll talk about, we haven't released, we are required to release this to the public. We're required to publish this. It is the law. Now, how we communicate that, right? I think I could talk with Mr. Wyman and Ms. Reinhardt on how we do that carefully to give the right context. Any other initial thoughts about additional information you'd like to know about?
I'm curious,
yes, sir.
because obviously, early college is a spotlight school. What are they doing so amazing that they're not doing at the high school? I'm just curious about it. What the difference is. I mean, obviously they have a lot less kids and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I would really like to know what makes them go to 79 versus the high school at 55.
Mr. Kroll, we'll take that as a note, and we can bring back in some fashion to the board. Think if you look at different performance by different subgroups on different elements of the report card, I think could reveal to us some general strengths and differences, and then we could look deeper into their programming that could really reveal some of those things to you. Yes, ma'am.
I just had, I don't know if it's a comment, but anyway, when it comes to longevity, like, Mary Lee was talking about, targeted interventions, how long does it usually take for, if there's an intervention that's targeted to a certain group, how long does it take for that intervention to actually show progress? Is it over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? And so are we seeing progress from the last few years?
So,
Because I've noticed that the numbers have gone up, in some of the schools.
right, and Mr. Wyman, I'm going to invite you if you want to share anything relative to that, but I'm going to give you one thought.
And then the next
Yes,
thing is,
yes.
I mean, we're not getting the whole picture here. We're getting
You are correct.
2 years, basically.
Okay.
What about the other years?
Mr. Wyman, I'll let you come share about the other year, because please understand this, and I think Mr. Wyman will hint to this. The data is always typically 1 year behind, right? And after the pandemic, the state went through a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out what data they were going to gather and use. And so I'll share this in a kind way from the PED. From year to year, how they've chosen to measure what is what has kind of changed. I will say that 23, 24, 24, 25 is probably the most recent best apple to apple comparison. If you dip back a little bit into 21, 22, you might have some oranges going on. But I think it's fair to try to give that information for you. So I don't know, Andrew, if you want to speak about interventions very briefly, and if I've missed anything regarding the data, history of data that Mr. Kroll is curious about.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Waterman. So yes, the metrics that the PED has used over the last 3 years have changed drastically, actually, from what it was prior to last year. I will tell you, we shared with you guys the proficiency rates. I want to say it was last month or the month before. So obviously, if you look at a 5-year trend there, you're going to see an increase overall as a district. With that said, the metrics for those have changed as well, and the way that the blueprints are for those assessments have changed. So transparently, it is difficult to look back over time and give you apples to apples, as you say. We also used to have the
So basically, we only have 2 years.
So we used to have an A to F report card. And then the state got rid of that around the time the pandemic happened. They changed the test from, we used to have Park to TAMLA, and then they changed from TAMLA to MASA, and then they changed the high school to SAT. So if you look back several years ago, we're looking at vastly different metrics.
But I think what we can do, Mr. Kroll, and if you'll make a note of this, Mr. Wyman.
No, because, I mean, there's a couple, I mean, obviously, early college has done fantastic and has done really well. But, you hear things like Memorial, oh my God, they went up 11 points. Well, wow, that's amazing. They did great. And Bal's always been up there really high. It's not like, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
Right.
What's going to happen the next? What happened before? Why did it take that long to go up the 11 points? Or previously, why were they so low during that time?
Right.
So, I mean, it's not like we're doing amazing. We're going up slowly and surely, but it can't happen overnight.
Yeah. I agree, Mr. Cole. I think what we can do, and what I'll ask Mr. Wyman to think about, and we can figure out how to get this information back to you and the public. Think some information on, and again, me being newer to town, I think is also an opportunity for me to get better context. Maybe what we can do is let's give you some information on, because I think our subgroups have a lot to do with this, right? Subgroup information, ELs, students with disabilities, break that down for you to see those trends. And then we can really look at, hey, are there particular interventions or programs that are going on at each school that are impacting those subgroups, right? Because when you look at a subgroup, you can see, oh boy, this subgroup is really struggling, or hey, this subgroup is doing well in these 3 schools. That's really bumping up the overall achievement, and those activities, interventions may not be going on in other schools. And that's the way we can adjust what we do district-wide to make sure our experience for all students has a standard feel district-wide, and to be able to track a little more specifically what is working to do that. But you're right, Mr. Kroll.
We're in the right direction.
We're going in the right direction, and it's typically always going to be a slow and steady. And looking at those subgroups, when we hit a big jump and we look at a subgroup, we figure out, is it the subgroup? Was it a particular cohort of students going through? And so I think those are things as we try to get you all more information in a workshop or elsewhere that we can really dig into that information. What else would you like us to try to find for you?
I would like, when you talk about the traditional way that we use our data, is that really giving us what we need? And break down into, and also just making sure where the students started may still not be up at the top, but has increased so much that that student is then moving on up. So instead, we usually just do it by groups rather than look at the individuals and pick out that away.
Thank you, Ms. Cameron. I'll make sure we work on that as well. Any other feedback on information you'd like us to try to gather for you for a more in-depth look at our vistas information?
I'm wondering if one thing, I don't know if this would make any difference or not, because I think everyone knows I'm very in favor of the teachers. But, are we doing it the same? How are we each trying to do a different way? And I just think we need to really look at what we're doing right, what we see forward and what's not, and then work on those things to, just like we do in a classroom, work on ours, what we're doing as well up here, even up here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cameron.
And I can tell you, even today, we had meetings, 2 meetings with grade bands. We had our high school meeting where we reviewed PSAT data, and we do break those things down with our principals to the student level. We had a lot of conversations about specific students today, K2 as well. We also met with those principals and assistant principals and coaches. And we started that last year, and that has made, I think, a big difference. And so we're going to continue to grow that practice as well.
Thank you, Mr. Wyman. Anything else that you'd like us to look into? And again, if you think of it later, you always shoot me an email. I'll be happy to do that for you. Okay.
I just would add one thing. It's not that we're putting it on the teachers, it's putting all together, working together to make it work, not just saying, here, myself being in a classroom 39 years,
Ma'am.
You get just really run down hearing, oh, look what they did this year.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Wyman.
Thank you.
All right, on to district quarterly financial report, Mr. Adcock.
Before Mr. Adcock starts, I want to share with you, we want to make sure for the board and the public, right, we kind of be transparent with our finances. Now, Mr. Adcock and I kind of sat together to talk about what information may the board like. But as you go through this, if again, either after Mr. Adcock's presentation, or, you can share it with me later. Let us know, is this what you'd like to see, right? Is this, did we leave something? Is this too much? Is this not enough? That way we can calibrate what is important to be shared. And then going forward, right, we can prepare it in that manner. So this is kind of what we prepared, and you let us know if it's something, how you want us to shape it differently if needed. Mr. Adcock.
Sure. Mr. President, members of the board, superintendent, there is a lot of information that was sent to you. The full report is what we have to submit to PED with actuals, with revenue and expenses, cash reports, all of that stuff. The document that was sent to you was over 400 pages. What I'm going to try to do is take the first 14 or so and summarize those for you so that you can have an idea of where we're at with the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No 400 pages, Mr. Adcock.
So, go to the next slide there. So basically, what we provided to you with the revenue actual.
And I wanted to listen to the whole thing. On my sleeping bag too.
You got a crowd. We'll leave you guys to it.
Yeah.
At the end of this, we'll leave you guys to it.
You guys can have your
Yeah.
meeting.
By all means.
So, what we have to present or send up to PED, and what was given to you is our revenue actuals. What did we do in the first quarter? Our expenditure actuals. What did we do in the first quarter? The cash report. That's due, they give us a month after the quarter is over with. So our September 30th quarter was over with. We have till October 31st to submit all of those to PED. And we submitted those up on the 28th of October this time, so we did meet it within the guidelines.
What is the 26th though? Says 10,
excuse me.
28, 20.
Yep, I'm already in next year.
I-
It was submitted 10/28 of 25. I apologize.
No, I just wondered, I thought maybe there was,
No, that was a.
I'm not being critical. Okay, thank you.
All of these reports are available to the public. They are published on our website, but we do not publish them until PED approves the reports and we can get those back. So that can take a month or so. And depending upon what time of year it is, especially when we're in the spring and they're dealing with budgets, and all those types of things, it may even take longer than that. But you can look on our Deming Public Schools website and get the detail of these reports as well. So what I did here is just kind of summarize what all of the expenditures are and compared it to our budget. Now, remember, our budget is an annual amount. And so we're just looking at quarter one. So you would almost anticipate about 25% of that would be there. But a couple of things to note about your the annual budget amount, that includes our cash balances because we have to budget for everything. It is not just our revenue coming in. So we have to keep some of those cash balances for emergencies, for contingencies, all of those types of things. To be at where we're at is about where we need to be compared to the revenue that we have. A couple of things of note here. What is defined as school is what would typically be direct instruction. Functions 1000 for you whenever you're approving the bars. Function 2100 and function 2200. That's what I understand that PED is defining as direct instruction. So that's what I'm tying in here as school. And you'll see several different ways that I'm looking at it that's also tying it back to school. Everybody's interested in administration. What are we costing in administration? I really think that needs to be broken up into two different categories because we have school administration, we have principals, secretaries, that's helping run the school. And then you have district administration, the superintendent's office, human resources, those types of things. And so we need to, I think that distinction makes it a better presentation. We also have capital outlay, and then at the bottom there, the community service operations. Again, that is the daycare that we had, and that's all the expenditures that we should have for that one. Couple of things to note here. Maintenance custodial technology is high at 29% comparing to the rest of them. That is because we had the insurance payment that is a one-time payment in July that's all year long. So that will actually should start coming back down. The other thing is the debt services at 41%. More debt service, that's payment of our bonds. We have two payments. In August, we have a principal and an interest payment. In February, we have an interest-only payment that's due. So this includes the principal and interest payment on that. So that's the reason why that goes at 41%. One of the breakdowns that next slide. One of the breakdowns that I've done is I've changed it, or put it in as state and local and federal in some of the slides that are coming up. So I just wanted to explain what is considered state and local. If you notice here, 92% of that is operational. That's your SEG money that we get in. We do have some others in transportation, and we've had some discussions about that allocation. And in pre-K has their own, and then there's a little bit of money, notice there, for activities and some other things that I didn't break out. But your biggest piece is your operational money. Next slide. We're also going to look at federal funds. I want to look at federal funds separately from state and local. These are a little more, there's some bigger buckets with this one where we're not completely on one, but your Title I money, your Medicaid, IDFB, and food service are your big pieces of that. There is 12% that's a lot of other federal funds, but it could be, ROTC. There's a lot of those other ones that are just smaller amounts. These are your major categories. So going back to the next one and starting to look at what are we doing? Again, we're breaking down into state and local, and we always want to see where are these expenses going. In this one, it's by type. So we want to look at salaries and benefits. What does it cost us for the people that we have? Supplies, services, assets, and again, our debt service. Notice again that in the state and local, 70% of our money goes into salaries and benefits. That's not leaving a whole lot for the other, supplies and so forth. But that's also a normal thing across the state. The biggest expense that most any company has, but especially in schools, is their personnel. In finance, we always want to look year over year. What does it look like from last year? What is it compared to this year? We could put in more years, but sometimes that gets a little bit skewed with different things that's happening. So this is just a comparison. Notice like our salaries and benefits, it looks like there's an increase in the state and local, but then there's a decrease in the federal piece of that. A lot of that has to do with art. Last year, we still had art in the first quarter, and we paid a lot of salaries out of that. And this year we don't have art, so that's causing some changes there. And then looking at the distribution by type, what does that look like year over year? Notice that, again, salaries and benefits is the biggest piece, and this is on the total. This is not just state, local, or federal. This is total all expenditures. The biggest change here is the assets, which kind of drives the other numbers in there. The reason the assets are down is again because of art. Last year, we were able to spend a lot of money on some HVAC and some capital expenditures out there that we don't have for this year. Now looking at it more at a function level, more like the first slide that we talked about where we compared it to the budget. You're looking at, the school, state, and local, 57% is going into the classroom. But we also have school administration, we have food services, we have transportation, maintenance, custodial. All of that is actually benefiting the students. So you almost have to tie all of those things together. Administration, which I said, as I mentioned earlier, was, HR, finance, some of the other areas that we have. Like for state and local, you're looking at 9% of what's coming in is going to that. 57% is going directly into the schools, and then you can see the breakdown of the others. Again, just looking, comparing year over year, you can see that the school, again, for state and local had an increase this year, but there was a decrease in funding on the federal side. But again, that was ARP. And then capital outlay is the other one that really shows up here, again, being the ARP program that we no longer have. And comparing year over year, again, the percentages are very, very consistent in what we're spending in the class or in the schools versus other areas. The last slide is talking about our cash balances. I know that's a big thing that we talk about anymore. I've broken this out into a handful of areas. One, we've got a couple of accounts that are transactional. That's where we do our payroll out of. That's what we do our accounts payable out of. Then we have our operating money. This is our true SEG operating accounts. It's also our food service account. It's also our activity account. We do invest our money so that we can get some interest off of that. That's just sitting there. So it's not necessarily going, just sitting there, not collecting anything. And then we have our capital outlay money, which is only for capital outlay. That's all you can spend that on. And then your debt service account, which is again to pay for those bonds that we have. One of the things that I did put together down at the bottom on this is what do you need to keep in the account? What are we trying to put there? So we have some required reserves. Ed looks at for reserves 1 to 3 months of expenses. If we take our SEG that we just put a budget in for, it's just shy of $72 million is what our revenue was for operational. You take you divide that by 4 to get 3 months worth. That's about $18 million that we should have in reserves in case something happens and we need to dip into that. We also put about $5 million in reserves for our capital account. That way, if we have, an air conditioner go down at RST or something like that, we've got some capital money that we always have to be able to finish those. A couple other things that we need to keep track of, and it changes throughout the year, is how much of our federal funds have we spent, but we're waiting on HED to pay us back for those. At this point, we've got about at the end of the quarter, we had about $1.7 million that we had already spent, but PED had not reimbursed us for. Depending upon what time of year it is, that number changes as well. The next one is summer payroll. As you know, we take our teachers and we divide their payroll by 24 so that we have insurance and things paid for over the summer. So throughout the year, we have to make sure that we have that money accumulating so that whenever it comes to the June payroll, we can make that. That's what that $1.8 million is for right now. And then also the board had approved $8 million of capital outlay out of operational, and that is still recognized there. We haven't spent all of that yet. We are looking at doing several projects with that, but construction can take some time. The next thing I think that the board needs to be aware of from time to time is what kind of requests for proposals or invitations for bid do we have out there. Right now, we do not have any. Whenever it comes into the spring, we will start having a lot more so that it's ready to go for the next year. Is there any questions? Feedback?
Questions, comments by the board? I think it's presented very well. Very understandable the way you presented it, so thank you for that.
And again, thank you, Mr. Adcock, for doing that. And we'll bring this to you quarterly as Joe gets these ready. as you're thinking and, thinking, you know what, like, I'd like a little more on this or whatever, please just email me and we can, see how, we can weave that into the presentation. So thank you, Mr. Adcock.
Thank you.
And those other 385 pages, Mr. Crow will be waiting for after this meeting, so you guys can get together on that and on to action items. Consideration to approve budget adjustment requests. Mr. Adcock, you're up again.
Mr. President, members of the board, superintendent, we have a couple of PARs to present to you today. One is our near peer. We have high school students that are doing tutoring for other students, and we're able to pay for some of that through this near peer grant. We just got the initial budget for that, so that's what we're trying to get is budget authority for that. Number 8 is a CLSD grant that is for some instructional coaches and a coordinator through literacy. This amount, you've already approved the first quarter of that. And this is a little bit more of that amount of money that they gave to us. Next month, we should be presenting to you a larger amount for this, because this is on a federal calendar, not on the fiscal year. So what we've been doing so far has been just the first quarter that we can continue to spend. But the next one will be from October 1 through September of next year will be those amounts. Any questions on these?
Questions by the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion on that one.
I move for approval of the budget adjustments request as presented to us tonight.
I'll second.
Mr. Crow.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
All right, Mr. Adcock, you're up again. Consideration to accept award of $1,907,775 from the Public Schools Capital Outlay Council for school security improvements, career technical, my tongue was stuck, technical education facilities for the maintenance and repair of public buildings for expenditure in fiscal year 2026 and subsequent fiscal years, as well as the approval of budget adjustment request number 9, public schools capital outlay 0039I.
I'll just share very, very quickly. I know, you kind of explained there, President Roscoe, what the money was for. This capital outlay money, every year the PSCOC will grant different amounts. And so we have kind of shared, and on the second slide, we've listed kind of some of the big projects we want to work on. Most of them are safety related, things that you've sort of already heard of, right? So when we get this money in, we try to look at existing projects that we've talked about for expenditures, and then, hey, we can use this money very easily on this. And so these are really, upgrading our manual gates that can open and close a little easier for security purposes. District-wide radio system upgrades to being digital. Our open gate weapons detection system falls into this. We know we have some issues with our intercom at Baton for sure. So we're going to look to spend some money to get the intercom upgraded at Baton. And then we want to make sure this money we have on reserve if we need it for other fencing and maintenance district-wide. And there's always the old adage, if you replace one intercom system, the other one stop working. So we want to make sure we have this available for that as well. So this is money that we have available. Joe, did I miss anything? I know we talked about that.
No, and the bar that is part of that packet is so that we can, is in the categories that we needed so that we can purchase these items. As we get procurement, all of them.
Questions, comments by the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the consideration to accept the award of $1,907,775 for public school capital outlay as stated by President Orozco.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Mr. Crow.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley.
Yes.
Mr. Cole, yes.
All right, on to item C. Mr. Adcock, I think you're done tonight.
Is he?
Gotta let everybody else have a turn. Item C, consideration to approve an agreement and resolution with the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments for 2025-2026. Mr. Attorney, this one's pretty standard, correct?
Correct. Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent W, as President Roscoe stated, this is pretty standard. We do it annually. And it just allows us to be a part of the Council of Governments, which is where a lot of our legislative junior monies flows through. So for a small fee of $452, it gives us access to a lot more funds that we have utilized throughout the district.
I have one question.
Sure.
Is Priscilla Musella still?
Priscilla still is the executive.
Wow. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yes.
Comments by the board? Now entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the agreement and resolution with the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments for 2025-2026.
Second,
Second.
Mr. Crow.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Crono.
On to consideration to approve amendment to fleet service contract with M&T Buses, Inc., specifically amending the compensation for rental fees, as well as the approval of budget adjustment request number 7, transportation 0040I. Mrs. Mota.
Good evening, Superintendent W. I'm gonna steal that from Mr. Chairman, President Obispo and members of the board. I have two of my team members, Mr. W. I introduced Mr. Sosa, and then I also have my right hand, Luana, who has really helped me a lot this year, so I'm gonna give it up to that. I'm here this evening to request your approval of the amendment to the fleet service contract with M&T Buses Incorporated, specifically regarding the adjusted compensation for rental fees. M&T has received 3 new buses, which are listed in Appendix A, Part 1. Appendix A also shows the current buses that they have and the ones that they will be replacing. The new buses will replace. Appendix A outlines the updated rental fees for each of these buses, which is $35,051. And this is based on the 2025 New Mexico PED amortization chart. The total increase for all of these 3 buses is listed on there as 105. The total increase is 105,153, which is on the bottom of Appendix A. And the rental fee increase also aligns with the total estimated budget reflected in Appendix B of $1,487,337.88. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions by the board? If none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve amendment to the fleet service contract with M&T Buses Incorporated, specifically amending the compensation for rental fees, as well as approval of budget adjustment request number 7, transportation 00401.
I'll second that.
Mr. Crow.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Cole, yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
On to item E, consideration to approve quote from CES vendor Apple Inc. for 3-cart iPad pilot and training for $72,440.75. Mr. Glickler.
Yes, President Roscoe, Superintendent Goldenbeth, members of the board.
What we have before you is a proposal to purchase three three iPad cards through Apple so that we can do a pilot program around the district. This is a bit of a project that I've been working on where I saw at a school in Texas a very successful high school iPad program where they use them as their primary device. We tend to use iPads in the district as auxiliary devices, as something a little bit extra, not as our primary. And so I wanted to see what it will be like. And I don't want to just issue a decree and say we're going to do it. Therefore, we're going to pilot it out at a few schools and see how it goes. This package includes 3 carts. It includes the iPads with all the bells and whistles, the Apple Care, training for our staff, devices for the teachers, and also Apple TVs for the classroom so that they can seamlessly project whatever they're doing in that space. Did somebody say something over there, or I imagine?
That's cool. I said that's cool.
The training I'm particularly excited about because sometimes we do deploy technology and just sort of what people's best. Instead, this will bring some training along so that we can fully leverage what we're doing. The intention is to collaborate with administration around the district to find 3 classrooms to pilot these at. My general vibe is elementary, middle, and secondary. Find 1 for each, but whatever the administrators decide to do, I'm willing to go with. And then see how it goes, see how we enjoy it, see if it does what we need to do. And I'm excited for projects like this in general. I was, as a related aside, I was this week invited to join PED's Educational Technology Advisory Council. And this is the kind of thing that I'd like to work on so that we can see how it works and see if it does anything that's really good for our students. I think you were given the number, what was it, 72,440 and 75 cents. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Questions, comments by the board? I think it's a neat project. Let's try it. See what it does.
Roll dice.
Definitely. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the quote from CES vendor Apple Incorporated for 3 cart iPad pilot and training for $72,440.75.
I'll second that.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez.
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley.
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
On to item F, consideration to adopt resolution authorizing the disposal of technology items through the public auction. Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. As you may know by now, this is a regular occurrence as we accumulate technology and bring it back to our warehouse. We're doing our best to surplus it. Anything that we can continue to use, we are repurposing, but what you have before you is a list of 321 items, of which all but 10 of them are not required to be tagged, but we have tagged them anyway because we like to know where our laptops are. The 10 that are required to be tagged per district policy are laptops, 8 of them. 1 of them is a server that we don't use a lot of physical servers in the district anymore, and 1 is a broken projector. You might have also noticed that everything on this list is over 5 years old, so we have nothing that's recently broken on the list. And it does also include a laptop that somebody bought in the year 2010, so it's 15 years old. I'm not sure what unfortunate soul is still using it, but we are getting rid of it. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Any questions?
Might have been an emotional support lap.
They're
Yeah.
all. You're away from a teacher that's used it for a decade and they will punch you.
All right. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move consideration to adopt a resolution authorizing the disposal of technology items through public auction. I'll second.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron.
Yes.
Mrs. Paez.
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley.
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And as in addition to that, I will be seeing you in December on the same topic. I'd like to give a shout out to the warehouse team that they have been to multiple schools in the district, Columbus and Red Mountain in particular, and they have pulled back hundreds of older devices that we're not using anymore that we're going to be evaluating to see if we can reuse them. And if not, if I can put them on the list. If you want to sell them.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, sir. On to consideration to approve quotes from CES vendor Four Rivers Inc. for playground shade structure for Columbus Elementary and Ruben S. Torres. Mrs. Stofford.
Yes. It took me a while to get 3 quotes. But I do have 3 quotes for each. And We have a proposal from Four Rivers for 2 metal shade canopies over the Columbus play structures. One is 54 by 45 and one is 50 by 42. And then in RST the same. 2 metal shade structures over the 2 playgrounds. Again, these are large, 42 by 46 and 42 by 47. Any questions?
Questions by the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move quotes from the CES vendor Four Rivers Incorporated for playground shade structures for Columbus Elementary and Ribbon S. Tourist House.
I'll second.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
On to consideration of adoption and revision to policies as recommended by NMSBA Policy Advisors 270 through 272. First read held on October 9th, 2025.
Mr. President, members of the board, this was one of our policies we discussed in our workshop. I didn't bring it out for approval last meeting with the rest of them because we do want to get some feedback from our teachers and staff regarding these proposed AI policies. We did get about 50 responses back. I know I maybe shared with you these ahead of time, but overall, it's a lot of positive feedback on updating these AI policies. And so I just wanted to, after we got that feedback, with no changes needed at this time, I wanted to bring this back for approval. Of course, remembering, as it said in our, and as Charles has put here, right, it can never address everything, but this is a good start for our AI policy, and we, likely gonna have to bring this back over time to revise. So I just want to put that up for approval.
Discussion by the board? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt the revision to policies as described by Superintendent Wolgemuth.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll.
Thank you. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
Thank you. With that, on to board announcements and requests for agenda items. Any board member requests for agenda items for the next meeting? If the Board of Education will be traveling to Albuquerque, New Mexico to attend the NMSBA annual conference December 4th to the 6th, held at the Embassy Suites in Albuquerque. Next regular meeting will be held December 18th, 2025 at 5:30. The meeting will be held at the Emmett Shockley Administration Building, 400 Cody Road. And we are set to adjourn for the board to enter into closed session. No action will occur. In closed executive session, the board will discuss the following: limited personnel matters pursuant to 10-15-1H2 of the Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978 as amended for the superintendent and deputy superintendent reports on employees on administrative leave, as well as the board to discuss matters related to the mid-year evaluation of the superintendent. B, personally identifiable information and any individual student pursuant to 10-15-1H4 of the Open Meetings Act, Attendance for Success Act, purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights by the public body to pursuant to 10-15-1H8 of the Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978, related to the district's use of property owned by the city of Deming located at E.J. Hooten Park, 721 South Granite Street.
I'll move that we adjourn for the board to enter into closed executive session for the purpose stated by President Orozco.
I'll second that.
Mr. Kroll.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
And with that, we're in closed session. Thank you, everyone.
Audio is. Okay.
Do I still need to push this button?
All right. All right, we're back out of closed session and I will entertain a motion to come out of closed session and back into open.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez.
Yes.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
All right, and then to item 14. Consideration to approve authorizing superintendent or superintendent's designee and consult in consultation with legal counsel to proceed as discussed in closed executive session regarding disposition of property related to the district's use of property owned by the city of Deming located at E.J. Hooten Park Complex, 721 South Granite Street, 88030. And I will entertain a motion for that.
Also move.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Kroll.
Yes. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll?
Mrs. Cameron, Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley.
Yes.
Mr. Orozco.
Yes.
Mr. Kroll, yes.
Thank you. We're adjourned.
Good night.